This time we're going to discuss about array operations or methods in Python. Array can be represented in Python as a list of elements. Say for example, we are going to declare an array with the name numbers and we want to set the values or the array elements to the values 52174. 5 is the first element, 2 is the second, this is the third, 7 is the fourth, and the fifth element is 4. So in that order, first up to last. Say we're going to add here a code cell, and then let's move it up. And then we set here numbers to empty list, and we run it. Okay. If we're going to add another cell just to check what the values of the array numbers are, let's run this. Now that is an empty list, or our array numbers has no elements yet. It is an empty array. And say we're going to set numbers to this list of 5 elements, 52174, and we run it. And then let's check. Instead of us adding another code cell and inquire for the value of numbers, which we could do that, of course. So we could check what are the elements of numbers. Okay, remember that initially we set numbers to empty list, and when we inquire for the value of numbers, it gives us an empty list. And then when we set this list of 5 elements to numbers, and then when we inquire for the value of numbers, it gives us this list of 5 numbers. Okay, but if we're going to reset it back to empty, okay, by running this, although this code cell is found at the beginning or above the previous code cells, when we run this, we are like executing it again. Since we have run it, meaning we set numbers back to empty list, when we inquire for the value of numbers, that would give us an empty list. And then when we rerun it, this one, and then we inquire for numbers, the value is 52174, right? So the physical location of the code cells in the Jupyter Notebook doesn't tell you that this is really the first, second, top to bottom, okay? The order actually of the code cell is dependent on which one you run first, which you run second, which you run third, and so on. It's the sequence of which code cell you run, not necessarily the physical location of the code cell in the Jupyter Notebook from top to bottom. So currently, numbers is an array or a list of 5 integers, which are this 52174. And then when we inquire for it, still it gives us this value. If we reset it back to empty list, and then we inquire the value of numbers, it gives us an empty list. So again, the physical location of the code cells in the Jupyter Notebook from top to bottom does not necessarily dictate which one you have run first, second, third, and so on. You will know which is earlier run and later run because of the numbers you have here. So meaning this is the 30-second code we run since we opened this Jupyter Notebook. And the 30 here means that this is the 30th code cell you run. This is the 32nd code cell you run. This is the 29th code cell you run. So again, let's set our array numbers to that 5-element list. Okay, it's empty, so let's set it back to 52174, and then let's check if it is indeed 52174. Okay, so that's already 52174. The first method we're going to discuss or operation is insertion. How do we insert at the last or the tail part of the array? Meaning, we want to add a new element after 4. So what is the syntax? It would be numbers.append. Now, append is a method. Why do we call it a method? Because it is like a function that is defined inside a class type. Okay, remember the lesson in Java when you create a Java class and then inside the Java class you defined fields and methods. It is called method when the function is defined inside a class. So when you instantiate the class, say numbers is like an instance of a class, and so you access append by calling the instance and then using the dot operator. So numbers dot append to execute the append method under this class for numbers, which is type list. So say we want to insert the new element 20, okay, take note it has the append method could have one parameter, and that one parameter or argument is the new element we want to be added into the list or into the array. So say we run this. So remember our numbers is currently 52174, and when we run this, okay, it doesn't give us any output, but let's inquire what the value of numbers. It gives us this 5217420. If we append another element, say for example, we want to append -3, okay? So what do you think will be the new value of numbers? Okay, let's check it out. So that's already executed. So let's inquire the value of numbers now. Okay, so we have -3 at the tail of the array or at the last portion of the array. So originally our numbers array is 52174, and then we append 20 earlier, and then now we append -3 at the tail. So when we append again another new element, say 8, and run this, then let's check our numbers value. Now we have 8 at the last. So this is the first element we appended, and then the second, and then the third. Okay, so that's how to insert a new element at the tail of the array, which is represented by a list in Python. Next operation is how to insert at any position in the array with index I. And this is the first argument in the method insert, and the new element you want to be inserted as the second argument. So this is the syntax on how to use the method insert. So again, numbers dot insert. Insert is a method under the type list, and the first argument is at what index you want this new element to be inserted. Okay, and remember that this index must be existing. It should not be a negative value. If it's a negative value, it is automatically appended at the beginning by Python. But in other programming languages, you will get an error because by default, array index starts with 0, not with any negative value, right? So let's try to insert at the beginning. Okay, so this is index 0. Let's try to change this. Currently, our numbers is this value, and we would like to insert, say, 9 as the new first element of the array. Okay, so let's run this and then check the value of numbers. Now we have 9 at the beginning, okay, or at the first. So this is index 0, 9, index 1, index 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Say we want to insert another element at the beginning. Say this is 42. Run this and check the value of numbers. We have 42 at the beginning, okay? So notice that in array, when you insert at the beginning, all the elements, the succeeding elements, are moved one position to the right. Okay? Next, if we want to remove the last element, we could use the method pop. We say numbers.pop, and okay, take note our current value for numbers is that one. When we pop from numbers, 8 will be removed. Okay, and the pop method will return the value that was removed from the array or the list. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, it returns 8, and then let's check the value of numbers. Okay, it's now 42. Okay, right? That's the first. Okay, and then 9, 5, 2, 1, 7, 4, 20, and negative 3. So from this value of numbers, it is now this one. Okay, so 8, the last element, was already removed and returned by the method pop. Next is how to remove the element at any position. To remove at any position within the array, then you have to specify at what index you want to remove from. Say we want to remove at index 3. Okay, so let's run this. What is the element at index 3? Okay, from this value, okay, this is our value currently. The index 3 is what? The first is index 0, second is index 1, third is index 2, and the fourth element is index 3, right? This is 0, 1, 2, 3. So the value removed from index 3 is 2. And then let's check our numbers now. We could run this instead of adding a new code cell here, which is similar to that. We could just run this one, okay? Now remember, we already removed 2. Okay, let's check by running this. Okay, so 2 is already removed. Next, how to remove the elements specified in the argument. So what's the difference between number 4 and number 5? Number 4 is removing the element at the specified index, while for this one, you remove the value itself. So you provide what element value you want to be removed, while in here, you specify the index of the value you want to be removed. For that, if you want to specify the value instead of the index of the value, then you have to use the method remove, okay, not pop. Now remember, our numbers is currently that value, and when we remove 5, that will become 42, 9, 1, 7, 4, 20, and negative 3. Okay, so let's run this one. And then let's check the value of numbers. So now indeed it is 42, 9, 1, 7, 4, 20, negative 3. So 5 was already removed. And lastly, if you want to clear or remove all elements from the array or from the list, you use the method clear, okay, without any arguments. So our numbers is currently this one. And if you're going to clear that, okay, we have already executed clear. When we check for the value of numbers, it gives us an empty list. When we check this one, we run this to check with the value of numbers. Okay, it gives us an empty list.